Godavarta Krishna Visjet Hanebhyo Piya Ipsitaha Yam Prinatya Sukhi Prestais Taskara Sevako Vani Godavarta Krishna Visjet Hanebhyo Piya Ipsitaha Yam Prinatya Sukhi Prestais Taskara Sevako Vani Godavarta Krishna Visvijay Pranebhyo Piya Visitaha Yam Prinatya Subhi Prestai Taskara Sevako Vani. Would anyone like to read this? Godavarta Krishna Visvijay Pranebhyo Piya Visitaha Yam Prinatya Subhi Prestai Taskara Sevako Vani. Let's do the word by word translation. Ka, who, nu, indeed. Artha Trishna, a strong desire to acquire money. Vishvijay, can give up. Anapyaha, then life. Api, indeed. Ya, which. Ipsitaha, more desired. Yam, which. Kunati, tries to acquire. Asubhi, with his own life. Prestahi, very dear. Taskaraha, a thief. Sevakaha, a professional servant. Bani, a merchant. This is the translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. Therefore, who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life? Thieves, professional servants, soldiers, and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. This is the purport. How money can be dearer than life is indicated in this verse. Thieves may enter the house of a rich man to steal money at the risk of their lives. Because of trespassing, they may be killed by guns or attacked by watchdogs, but still they try to commit burglary. Why do they risk their lives? Only to get some money. Similarly, a professional soldier is recruited into the army, and he accepts such service with the risk of dying on the battlefield, only for the sake of money. In the same way, merchants go from one country to another on boats at the risk of their lives, or they dive into the water of the sea to collect pearls and valuable gems. Thus, it is practically proved, and everyone will admit, that money is sweeter than honey. One may risk everything to acquire money, and this is especially true of rich men who are too attached to household life. Formerly, of course, the members of the higher castes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, everyone but the Shudras, were trained in the Gurukul to adhere to a life of renunciation and sense control by practicing brahmacharya and mystic yoga. Then they were allowed to enter household life. There have consequently been many instances in which great kings and emperors have given up household life. Although they were extremely opulent and were masters of kingdoms, they could give up all their possessions because they were trained early as brahmacharis. Prahlad Maharaj's advice is therefore very appropriate. Komara acharet pragyo dhamam bhagavatam iha durlabhamam samjanma tadati adhubam artadam. One who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Human society should take advantage of this instruction. Om Adhyanatimandasya Gyananjanashakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Chadini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We'll read the verse once more. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. Therefore, who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life? Thieves, professional servants, soldiers, and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. So these are the continuing instructions of Prahlad Maharaj as he's speaking. So we can imagine the scene of a very young boy who we see pictured here in this painting that's offering the garland. He's sitting with friends, just like, how old is Annabelle? 6. She's 6. 6. She's 6. Okay, so you can see Annabelle sitting. Can you imagine Prahlad sitting around with boys and girls like this and speaking of this kind of subject matter, that be careful of money. So, speaking on the Srimad Bhagavatam is, I understand I'm not qualified to speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I'm going to attempt to say just a few things here on this verse, which is that the story of Lord Nrsimhadev, when he appears, is instructional for all of us, that we understand there's 3 main central characters: Lord Nrsimhadev, who's the Supreme Lord; Sri Prahlad Maharaj, who's a devotee of the Lord; and then Hiranyakashipu, who is a devotee of the material nature. He's trying his best to control, absent the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And he gets pretty close to getting everything. And in this story, he performs very severe austerities. Does anyone know the austerity that he performed for 1,000 years? Yes. Yeah, he stood up like this. Huh? And I think on top of, on his tippy toes. And he was keeping his prana, his life very circling. And he was standing like this for 1,000 years. 1,000 years, perhaps more. Satya Yuga is different time, very long time. Can you imagine standing like that on your tippy toes? You could do it for one. What was the famous musician? He would stand on his tippy toes for a couple seconds, and everybody was, wow. He was doing it for so long in yoga, controlling his life airs. And so he was praying to Lord Rama to receive some kind of benediction. And this is where this part about money comes in, is because we learned from a pretty young age that accumulation of money brings us something that we want, which is happiness. When I was young, I had a cousin who was my age, and she was very pragmatic about money. Whenever I would get a little money, I was maybe, Annabelle's age, 5, 6 years old. I would get a little money in my hands when somebody, parents, family would give money, and then I'd spend it immediately. Because, I can get something. I can get some candy, I can get a toy, I can get these things, right? She did something different. She was more pragmatic. She would save her money. It's like, wow, she's not spending her money. Something's going on. And I'd get my money, spend. And all of a sudden, she had over, some time had passed, she had accumulated a lot of money. I realized I have no money. She's very wise. Because now she has power. She can go buy whatever she wants. Right? So I saw that, she's doing something very interesting. We're the same age, but she was more pragmatic, She saw some value there. So from a young age, you can see, that money grips us because we realize that it can buy us what makes us happy, what gives us pleasure in this world. So this is why in this chapter, in this verse that's being discussed, is that Prahlad Maharaj is trying to speak to his classmates, saying, you have to understand this material nature very early on. You should understand what's happening here, that eventually, over time, some of us, not all of us, we come to the conclusion that money is not everything. Hopefully, right? We come to that conclusion. Some people, their whole lives, it'll be like this, striving to get some money, striving to save. So then that gives power. This is Hiranyakashipu's plan. He had realized that even all of his wealth, as useful as it wasn't going to bring him what he wanted. So this is why he engaged in these austerities. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it says there that this attachment or this desire, that when we contemplate something material and set a desire on it to enjoy, then something happens, some attachment comes. And then when that attachment comes, then when we don't receive that, then anger develops. And then when anger comes, then memory is lost. And then when memory is lost, we fall down into the material nature once again. So it's a causality of things that happen if we're not careful in this material world. Here's Prahlad Maharaj trying to give some instruction early, right? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions this in this purport. It says that in previous times, the members of all the different members of society were trained from a very young age in Gurukula. Anyone knows who Gurukula is? What Gurukula is? Ashram, where one is trained from a young age. Right? They live with the Guru and they train in devotional service. And who is the Supreme Lord? What is the purpose of life? The purpose of life isn't to accumulate money, because what happens at the end of our life? It says that Lakshmi Devi is very fickle. She'll come to someone for a little while and then she'll leave very quickly. She'll land on one spot and then go somewhere else like this. So even all the money that we accumulate in this life, it's taught at a young age. This isn't something that you can take with you. You can't take this. So why would you spend your whole entire life trying to accumulate, working so hard like this? So Prahlad is giving these very important instructions to these students that are there. And it says here that they were trained in the Gurukul to adhere to a life of renouncing these things of the material world, understanding their proper utility, and then controlling the senses. And then after that, when one enters into the second stage of life, right? And many of us, very rare that someone lives in the ashram their entire life. They go out and they have family. Many of us here who are here today have families. So this is when these things can become difficult, because we're trying to balance a family life where we have to have money to feed family, but then also we're trying to strive for more spiritual practice, spiritual understanding. So it said that one should use everything in its proper utility, use everything in service of the Supreme Lord. So it's not the money that's the issue, right? Tasting sweeter than honey. It's not the money so much that's the issue, it's how we're looking at the money. It's how we're utilizing this money. We're trying to enjoy. Then, when money gets a little sparse, then we suffer. Like, not enough money, I'm suffering, I'm in anxiety. So much anxiety, especially here in Las Vegas, this town. What they're doing down there in the Strip is lots of anxiety. So much anxiety. Over what? It's money. They pull the machine. Am I going to win? I get money? Not get money. This is anxiety. One can't be in peace. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Sometimes I lose everything. How often do people really win down there? Not very often. It's built this way. So, but it still attracts people like anything. You know how many people visit Las Vegas every year? 40 million. 40 million people every year come to Las Vegas, trying to hit it big, right? That's the big idea. I used to work in the airport in Los Angeles, and we would distribute these books. And you would know whenever someone was going to Las Vegas because you hear the two words, Vegas, baby, right? And be all happy to going down the terminal. Where are they going to enjoy? Las Vegas. All happy. High fives. All the way down the terminal. Getting ready to enjoy. Vacation spot, Las Vegas. But then I would see maybe a couple days later or a week later, I would see the same people, and they're coming down the terminal, suffering like anything. Maybe they drank too much. Maybe they did something not very smart, and they probably lost all their money. Every time I would see them. Completely used up. And this is the place where they came to enjoy, to become refreshed. Not happening, right? Amazing. So this is these are the instructions that Prahlad Maharaj is trying to give. That eventually most of us come to this conclusion that when we have a little money, we realize that it can't bring us the full happiness that we're seeking. Hypothetically, if we're spiritual beings, then there's no amount of material happiness or pleasure that will fulfill us. This is the idea. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse right at the end of the 18th chapter. Brahma Buddha Prasannatmana Sochatina Tanshati. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktin Ladate Param. That this translation is that Brahma Buddha Prasannatma. Prasannatma means happy, means bliss. Brahma Buddha, that this is a stage, the stage of Brahman, where we realize that we're spiritual beings. And not just theoretically, but truly, right? We utilize everything in Krishna's service. Because who does it belong to? Does it belong to us? Right? So this verse says, Brahma Bhuta, this stage, when you reach that stage, prasanatma, one finds real happiness. And then, nasochati nakanchati, that they don't desire anything. Right? And they don't lament. Nasochati nakanchati. They're not lamenting the loss of something. We gain so many things and we lose so many things over the course of this lifetime. Right? So this is the importance of this verse, that we have to have a big picture view, a vision that's much wider, not just, the small little moment. Let me enjoy now in this moment, and then I'll worry about the rest later. That's the mentality of one who's trying to enjoy. But then when later comes, and one has to realize that this money that they have, or this wealth, or this power, is just fleeting, it's temporary, then there's so much suffering that comes. So this is what Krishna is informing, not just Krishna, Prahlad Maharaj, all of the acharyas are informing that we should be taking a view, a perspective of the greater picture, that everything that we have in this life is simply on loan. I was speaking to a mentor of mine this morning. I said, tonight we're speaking on this verse. Do you have anything that I should share? He was the temple president in Dallas Temple for many years, 20 years. And he owns a successful online business. So he's had to deal with money a lot throughout his entire life. And so he goes, it's on loan. That's what he said. Tell everyone that this money is on loan. And if you steal money from someone, then you go to jail. Right? This is Krishna's money. This is Krishna's wealth. It said in the Bhagavad Gita that one who has real vision sees gold and a pebble as the same. We don't really see it that way now, right? We're seeing, wow, one is valuable, one is not valuable. I'll get the one that's valuable so I can enjoy it. That's the mentality. But one who has the spiritual knowledge, they see the gold is some kind of metal, material metal. The pebble is some, mixture of the material elements, both of them. What's the difference? I won't find my real happiness there. I'll find my real happiness in service to Krishna. That's the conclusions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kavana. That Krishna Prema is the Nitya Siddha. It's the eternal perfection of all of us. Not this money. Our real wealth is our love and service towards the Supreme Lord. And then in the Shikshastikam prayers, he also says this again. He says, Nadanam, Najana, Nasundari, right? That I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want beautiful people, to possess beautiful men, beautiful women like this. It's not what he's wanting. That's not what he's seeking. He's seeking only the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord, birth after birth after birth, lifetime after life. Because this is the true wealth of the soul, this loving relationship. That when everything's stripped away, when we've lost everything, this is the one thing that we still have. At the end of our lives, we'll have to say goodbye to all of our properties, all of our homes, all of our businesses, even our own family. This is the reality of the material world. So where did all this come from? That's the question that Prahlad Maharaj is asking of all of the students that are there. You should understand where everything is coming from. What is the source of everything? And if you understand that, then you'll direct your gaze at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord to find the real wealth, to find real happiness, to find real truth. So this verse that it says here that it's sweeter than honey. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. That for the devotees, for the ones who are practicing this Krishna consciousness, then what's sweeter than money or honey is the service of the Supreme Lord. This sweet relationship. We can see all around in this room, everyone is engaging in this sweet relationship. Prahlad Maharaj, he's offering a garland to the Supreme Lord. Sweet relationship, rasa. Yashoda Mataji, right? He's angry at Krishna, so she's tying him up because he's such a rascal. Krishna enjoys this. He doesn't want some kind of formal, very stiff, rigid relationship. He wants it to be true and real. Right? He's dancing with the gopis here. There's a beautiful relationship here. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes with all of his entourage, together with the devotees. Here's Mother Yashoda again, embracing Krishna. This is what Krishna seeks. This is the only reason we exist, by the way. So we can engage like this, like Mother Yashoda. Radha and Krishna engaging in this loving connections. We're meant to be a part of this, not hoarding and loving our money. So money has its proper utility. That should be the conclusion here. It's not that we should renounce money. One time they showed a picture of one guru to Srila Prabhupada, and his disciples were pushing a bunch of money in front of the guru, and the guru was going like this. No. But Srila Prabhupada said, this is absolute nonsense. He says, if that was me, I'd be going like this. But I'd be using it in Krishna's service. Right? It's not that you renounce and then you don't utilize properly. It's like you take that money, so all of us that are householders, take the money that you're working for and come and use that money to engage in your spiritual life. Put gas in the car so you can come to the temple. Right? Purchase a nice kurta, nice dress. So when you come, then Krishna sees. You come and you've arrived to see in a very beautiful way. Right? Purchase a little bit of vegetables at the store, and then you offer it home. If you have an altar, you offer, put a picture of Krishna, and then offer that heartfelt offering to Krishna. Everything that you get, I'll just offer it to Krishna, everything that comes. And you'll find that your bliss will increase. And that your wellness will increase. And that you won't have any desires but to serve Krishna. You won't be lamenting. This world will actually become in proper context, and you'll use everything for Krishna. That was the instructions of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. He used all of this wealth that accumulated to build temples, to print these books, distribute. So not one penny was wasted on something superfluous, right? Superfluous, mundane. Every single dime was used in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is the proper utility of everything in the material world, not just money. So we can meditate on this verse, we can meditate on the instructions that this young 5-year-old boy, Prahlad Maharaj, he's trying to wake up these other young children, students. But he's also trying to wake all of us up. So we read these instructions, and then we chart a course towards our spiritual life. So this is a very wonderful chapter, a very wonderful verse. Please try to take these teachings seriously. Meditate on them. You know, if you think deeply on these things, what can we keep? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Nehabhikam naso asti pratyavayo na vidyate swapamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato payat. Says that in this endeavor, there's no loss. You'll never lose this. Your spiritual bank account, your spiritual practice, your love for Krishna. Nehabhikam naso asti. You'll never lose it. There's no loss. It's just a little bit of advancement on this path of Dharma, right? Trayate mahato payat, that it can save one. Trayate means to release. And mahato means maha is great, right? Payam is fear. It can save one from the greatest fear. That's what happens when one becomes attached. They become fearful that they'll lose it, and then suffering. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that there's no suffering involved. When we're offering everything to Krishna, we know its proper use and utility, then what can we lose? There's nothing that we lose. We keep Krishna within the heart always. This life, next life, doesn't matter where we go, Krishna is always with us. That is the greatest wealth of the Vaishnava, of the devotee of the Lord. That brings the greatest bliss. Krishna Prema. So we'll read the verse one more time and then we'll finish up. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. Therefore, who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life? Thieves, professional servants, soldiers, merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. Srila Prabhupada, Sri Prahlad Maharaj. Are there any questions or comments before we finish tonight? Anyone have any realizations about money?
No money, no honey.
No money, no honey. That's the mantra. For Las Vegas, for Sin City. No money, no honey. I got no money. The most wealthy people have very little. That's actually the most wealthy people have very little material things. It's, they've done the study of countries that have the least amount of depression. And those countries are the least wealthy countries. Interesting. That's so interesting. Like in Las Vegas, the depression rates are very, very high. And you would think it wouldn't be that way because there's no repression here. People say, I don't want to go somewhere where people are repressing me, telling me what to do. I want to go somewhere where I can do whatever I want. So Vegas says, okay, you'll do it. We'll never close any of the places. They'll stay open all night. You can do whatever you want. You can buy whatever you want. Crazy things. I saw on a billboard the other day that they had an ice cream cone. And on top of the ice cream cone was a piece of cake. It's like, how are you going to eat? And they're selling it down the street. Come get one. It's an ice cream cone with a piece of cake on top. Whole piece of cake. Triangle. Boom. It's like, how are you going to? But people see it. Oh, I want one of those. This is how it happens through the senses. And that's why in these places, in these temples, that this is the teaching that the senses are, you're taught how to control the senses, because the senses is where it begins. This is how it began for my cousin and me when we were little. Oh, we saw money. You realize very quickly, money can buy me so many things. Money, money. And then let me go to school and work very hard. Why? So we can think about these things. This is what Prahlad Maharaj is asking us. Think about this deeply. You should think about what's real wealth. And then if you do that, then you'll come to the conclusion that the source of all existence is the topmost wealth that we can gain. So as far as announcements tonight, we do have Lord Nrsingadev's appearance. That's coming next month, I believe on the 14th. So we'll let everyone know as soon as we get all of the plans together on which day we'll celebrate that. I think the 14th might be a Saturday. It's a Saturday. So will we celebrate Saturday? Yeah, we're going to celebrate Saturday here, the day of, to get the blessings of Lord Nrsingadev. We'll put that on our website. We'll keep everyone posted in the coming weeks. Please come join us tomorrow night. His Grace Bhagavat Kriya Prabhu will be giving class on the Bhagavad Gita tomorrow night. Come join, become a part of our family. Come visit us throughout the week. There's so much to be done here at this temple. You know, we have so many little things, but when you engage in that service with no motive, just to please Krishna, then you find that your heart becomes very light. So you can come and do so many things here throughout the week. We need help sweeping, mopping, cleaning the kitchen, so many things. So please come and join us here in this service to Krishna. And I think that's all we have. Okay. Thank you all once again. To the Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. And we'll do a little kirtan. Yeah, so please stay here for